But there are four really important things I want to share with you. The first is that I just met this man, when, 3 months ago maybe? Maybe 4 months ago, he says. And for those of you that I've worked with for years, many years, I've known some of you, you know that we come from completely different worlds. But somehow we have come to two very different places with exactly the same solution, which tells me we're right.
Yes.
Right. And we're going to impact the nation with this solution. So I thought that was important for folks to know. Secondly, I want to make sure you know what NEM and the Manufacturing Institute are, because actually I'd worked 20 years in Washington with NEM, and I didn't know what it was until I actually moved over there. So now I'm really smart about this, but I think it's important that you are as well. NEM is for those of you who are tax lawyers, a 501c6. It's an advocacy, policy, and legislative lobbying organization. I'm going to give you just a little bit of background. You all know that right now business, educators, government leaders at all sectors, from all sectors, I mean local, state, and federal, and the public are paying keen attention to just exactly what it takes for people to get a good job, because so many people are out of jobs and transitioning from industries that have been hardest hit by the financial crisis. We know the answer. I think it's education, training, and the right skills. Congress clearly recognized this by putting over $4 billion in additional workforce training money in the economic stimulus. There is a significant investment awaiting those who are smart about how to use that training money. And here's addressing the big white elephant in the room. Even today, in these really tough economic times, certainly NEM's members, manufacturers of all sizes, continue to say there are jobs for people with the right skills. Many are holding on desperately to their skilled workers, finding creative ways to keep them through this downturn because they are terrified they won't be able to find them at the end of the recession, and the recession will end. Certainly manufacturers have told us time and time again, and they visit with me daily, saying we have a huge, serious skills gap in this country. It's the public education system is simply not delivering young people or workers with the right skills at the right time to remain competitive in the global economy. So now, I want to remind you from a national level what I know you know from your local and state level, and that is what we face today. Fewer high school graduates, period. A rapidly aging workforce, and fierce global competition in a smaller, borderless world where talent moves as freely as companies and economies do. Every school year in this country, we lose 1.2 million young people who drop out between 9 and 12, between 9th and 12th grade. 1.2 million who educationally disappear without the skills or the education to work or to be productive in our society. We were looking at a 10-year transition of the boomers out of the workforce. So now they're staying. The moment that upturn hits, they're liable to all go at once because they don't want to live through this economic shift. And if we are not prepared to fill behind, if we don't have a pipeline in play, if we back burner workforce development and education reform today, every business sector in this country is going to be desperate for the workers that they need. America has lost its place as a world leader in education and is in fact becoming less educated. Of the 30 free market countries around the globe, America is the only country to have this dubious distinction, that its population is becoming less educated. And interestingly, when the topic turns to the loss of jobs to other countries, most of the public debate is about free trade agreements or to low-cost labor. Actually, we think we do well to acknowledge that retaining and growing good jobs, middle-class jobs, will depend far more on whether we have a workforce with the skills needed for those jobs. Companies take this very, very seriously, as they must, One of my favorite quotes from a manufacturer in Indiana, also right here, said that every worker hired for his company is $1 million investment. The math is pretty easy on that. He expects to hire before they turn 45, keep them for 20 years at least, and their average salary and benefits package is $55,000. To do the math, it's $1 million investment. And he said, unless I can verify that they have the skills I need to be productive, they're either a high risk or a good investment. It makes a huge difference if I'm able to validate the skills that they have. Here's our answer. On March 4, we launched our answer from the Manufacturing Institute, and it is the NAM endorsed Manufacturing Skills Certification System. I skipped one on you. Go right back at it. All right, hold up. We're out of sync. Well, just hold up for a second. The NAM endorsed Manufacturing Skills Certification System was deployed for the purpose of deploying through our educational institutions and our workforce development system industry recognized credentials and the training and education that are necessary. This is the only way we're going to get the high-performance workforce that is so critical to manufacturing survival in today's economy. And our purpose was to provide competency-based, customized education and training for the workforce today. Okay. Our system is really a roadmap of the skills that a worker needs from entry level to graduate degree to engineering to enter and advance in careers in manufacturing. For those of you who were at all DOL associated, you will recall 2 years of hard work where manufacturing executives sat around a table and wrote a competency model for skills needed by manufacturers, for manufacturers, that would represent the roadmap of skills that they wanted the education and workforce system to deliver to them. So with those education and skills, foundational skills identified, we partnered with the market leaders, in fact, the world leaders. I know I'm going to get agreement on that, in skills certification programs that align with these skill requirements. And together, that partnership has organized the certification programs and the credentials that they offer into a system of stackable credentials that can be awarded in post-secondary education. So the skill certification programs and their credentials and their associated curriculum have been aligned into a stackable program of study that results in dual enrollment in a degree program and the receipt of the credentials by the partner certification programs. These become post-secondary credentials with real meaning in the workplace. And this is the post-secondary paradigm shift, the reform that every employer is calling for. Now, I want to point out something here that is particularly interesting for those of you who have to deal in sectors beyond manufacturing. The first 3 tiers of skills are actually shared across every business sector in our economy. And we have, in February, sat around the table in Washington with the IT sector, the healthcare sector, the construction sector, the energy sector, the manufacturing sector, and agreed that if we teach to and train to those first 3 tiers of competencies, we are forming the entry-level skilled workforce that every sector in our economy needs. And then you begin to move into the technical skills associated directly with your industry of choice. So there is broad meaning for an educational institution in entering into a partnership with us on the program of study that leads to these stackable skill credentials. So I hope the benefits are clear from this system. Number one, an industry sector representing 14 subsectors has spoken with one voice for the first time. We have essentially notified the workforce development system and the educational system of the skills required in order to succeed in entry-level jobs and to succeed in advancement in careers. For workers and students, their educational path to employment is absolutely clear at this point. And it's not only clear, it's accessible and it's affordable. And for educators, for the first time, I think we're providing the industry input that they need to ensure their credentials have real value in the workplace. We're responding to every solicitation for grant applications with partners, whether it be out of the Department of Labor, the Department of Education, or the Department of Commerce, with the same message and the same approach. We think we can drive this home very quickly as a most effective, most efficient, fastest track to reemployment in this economy, and most importantly, in tomorrow's economy, which will impact